And we are live. So welcome everybody to yet another live interview show with Become a Fearless Father. And as I just said to Alan, who is my guest today, this will be the last time in this setup since we are moving to a new apartment. So I'm very excited about that. Alan, so happy that you are my guest today. Thank you so much for taking the time to come on.
Oh, thank you. It's a pleasure. The energy is fantastic. I love it. We need
Gotta
this
have
right
energy,
now.
man. You gotta have energy. Gotta have energy.
Yeah.
So, Alan, let's start off first with a question, right? So, I really want to talk because that's what it's all about. I hear so many people, and I'm sure you as well, right? During this COVID-19, during this lockdown, people are just talking about, oh, it's so bad, and going crazy, right?
Yeah.
And then I see your message saying evolve during lockdown. And I'm like, yes, that's what we got to talk about. Let's start. I know it is hard. I know it's horrible, but let's talk about how to evolve in bad times, because that's what it's all about. So how do we do this? Where do we start?
Yeah, well, I think the problem is, like, we're talking, our message, my wife's message, we've created this this company called the Brydens. We're both small business owners. So our target market is small business sector. So I myself, like, I'm an optometrist. I come from a small physical store. That's my history for over 12 years. But to evolve during lockdown, the problem is a lot of people kind of let the situation take control of themselves. And I think it's fine to do that at the start. There's a lot of fear. There's a lot of uncertainty. You've been sort of cast into this total kind of chaos where everything was going along nicely in your business, and all of a sudden you've been hit by a steamroller or a bulldozer, and you don't know what to do. So the first kind of, you're very reactive in the first instance. The first few weeks, we see it from the people in our Facebook group. They're kind of reacting to what the government are kind of telling them to do. They're waiting on kind of government handouts. They're waiting on various things to, ensure their own business financially, which is absolutely perfectly fine because we've never experienced this before. But it's something that, we started doing initially. We sat down and we made a list. What exactly are we in control of in our own lives in the current state? You've got to adapt very quickly to the situation. And then you got to identify, and what we did, we actually identified the worst case scenario. So we put ourselves basically at zero money, starting from scratch. What kind of action plan, what kind of steps would we put in place to develop our business, to, as we say, evolve our business during this time? And the whole thing is it's basically taking the control and identifying the opportunities. Obviously, the majority of us are locked down in our homes, in our houses. Some people still can travel to the office, but the only real way of evolving and growing your business in this period is online. It's using the online medium, using social media effectively, and kind of developing and growing your following, your likability, your know, like, and trust within the online marketing kind of speak. And then that's what we're trying to do, kind of communicate that to small physical business owners. But also it applies to any business owner, really. And it's something that's basically the whole premise. And it's something that actually randomly, I listened to an interview. It was Grant Cardone actually was talking to a guy called David Rose from London Real, who has made the news for other kind of reasons recently. But I actually met Grant Cardone a few years ago randomly. I had a conversation with him in a spa locker room, which is so random, in Glasgow in the UK. But he started, the information and the discussion that we had was actually very insightful. He was very generous with the information he was giving. So I just started watching this interview, and that's exactly what he started to talk about putting himself to zero and then working on a plan to kind of progress from that. So that's basically the whole premise of evolving your business in lockdown, if that makes sense.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, there was one thing, and I must say, I see it happen a lot. People, when they give an answer, right, they talk about certain things that are so normal to them that it just, and if you don't pay attention, you're going to miss it. So one of the things that struck out for me that's so important is you make a list and you look at what are the things that I can control, and let's focus on that, right?
Yeah.
That is huge, and that's very important. I just, real quick, for all those watching right now, if you are an online entrepreneur, make sure to hit that heart button, show us some love, show Alan some love for his time spent here. And, he's going to be sharing for another 20 minutes all of his golden nuggets that he can do. And then we're going to continue. Plus, it will help us because it will show more people that we're online, and we love the more people, the merrier, right? If you have any questions, of course, put them in the comment section, and we will try to answer them as best as we can. Now, my wife just came home. The dog stopped barking.
So I have crazy kids next door here, so don't worry.
Right? Oh yeah, my kids will probably come in. Last week was insane. They just kept coming in every single time, and I told them, please stay out. No, there you go again. Even my phone rang. He brought my phone. How sweet was that? Just not the right time. Anyway, Alan, real quick, man, let's share us a little bit about who's Alan Bryden, right? Share us a little bit of information about your family setup. Your work with your wife. We'd love to hear a little bit more about that. And then for the people that want to immediately go and visit or find out more information on their own, check out the link. It's in the comments section, and you can find out all the information that you need. Go ahead, brother.
Yeah, perfect. Well, myself, it's one of those questions when you ask it, it's like, who am I? Who's Alan Bryden? But well, first and foremost, well, I'm a husband. My wife is called Sarah. We've been together for, she's gonna get me now, over 18 years. We've been married for 9 years. We've got 2 lovely, beautiful young boys, 5 and 3, who are absolutely crazy at the moment, especially today. But so I suppose I've been, my day job, I suppose you could say, I'm a qualified, fully trained optometrist. I've got my own optical practice. I set it up from scratch over 12 years ago now. And kind of working in that small, kind of physical brick and mortar store environment, the type of person that I am, I always felt very trapped and suppressed by that. Being an optician, you're sitting in a dark room all day testing people's eyes anyway, so it's not the most glamorous jobs, but I've always been one for personal growth, personal development, and kind of pushing myself a bit further. And within the actual physical practice, I was kind of hitting a brick wall where I wasn't able to do that. I felt very trapped. About 3 years ago, after a short illness, it's a random illness I took. It was a virus, affected my hearing. I got really bad vertigo. So I had to take 8 weeks off work. And during that period, I realized, like, if I wasn't there in my small business, I didn't have a business. I didn't have any income. So I explored ways of developing outside that. That led me to online marketing, online business structures, especially affiliate marketing. From the outset, it was really affiliate marketing that caught my attention. I started to learn all those strategies. And then one day it kind of clicked. I realized it was actually, the word clicked is very apt here, because I started using ClickFunnels, the software, and I started sort of trying things within my optical practice and my business to get new clients, get new customers, and started to realize that these strategies work. These strategies work online, they work offline.
Nice.
And then things developed from that. And again, the type of person, relating that to who I am, when I realized these strategies were working within my business, I started a Facebook business page called the Digital Practitioner, and started to kind of communicate that with other optical practice owners, other healthcare practice owners. And I was actually at the point where I was releasing an online course based around that, roughly about 3 months ago. But then everything started to develop within the coronavirus scenario. So from flipping from that, because I realized that wasn't appropriate in this time, it wasn't going to really work in the current marketplace. I started to take the strategies that I was using, also the strategies that my wife was using, because she's a small business owner. She's a photographer, a wedding photographer, and she set up an online course as well for her photography business. So we put together this, with the link that you show, we put together this group, a resource site and Facebook group for small business owners, to really show them strategies and things that would help them through this period. And it's coming from I suppose my need from an early age. I always wanted to serve people, to help people.
Nice.
I suppose within the schooling setting, within the education setting, they didn't really encourage, I suppose, creativity as much. It was all very kind of standardized. And there's a whole big topic about that, how self-education is the way forward, which is what I truly believe, and that the conventional education system is failing people, which in a certain sense it is, especially with the way everything is now. The world has shifted. But in taking those kind of, the kind of concept of developing that and showing people that I can serve you at this level, I can serve you online, and just getting the information out to more people. So creating more impact in a wider audience. And that's kind of, it took me a long time to figure out what that was, because I've always had that drive. And a lot of people are like that. I'm sure you're like that yourself, Klaas, is trying to figure out, where's your angle? What's your why? What is your kind of goal, your vision, your focus? And, I'll be honest, like over the last 3 years, I've been all over the place with different kind of scenarios, different business ideas, but you don't learn, you don't realize until you try something and fail. And that's the thing with me. It's trying, just going out there and trying it. You may fall flat on your face, which I have done numerous times, but you just got to get up and keep going. And it's just figuring that out. But yeah, it's just, I suppose, the type of person I am. I'm kind of wanting to help people, wanting to serve people, identifying how to do that. That's probably one of my weaknesses, and trying to convert that into helping people. But it's just the resilience of really just keep trying and keeping developing and trying to serve people. I guess that's probably a reasonable summary.
Exactly. I love it. That's probably the reason why we connect so well.
Yeah.
Because my purpose is to serve others so we can thrive and inspire others to serve as well. So
yeah,
I mean, I'm all about serving. So I love that. Let me ask you this, right? You got a virus you mentioned, which affected your hearing, amongst others, right? Which meant there were certain things that you could not do as well as before.
Yeah.
How did that affect you? And how did you then move forward, right? Because that's a big thing, right? If something like that happens.
Yeah, like I suppose the virus itself, it basically, I woke up one morning about 2:30 and I had a really loud ringing in one of my ears. I got up, vertigo, I was so dizzy, I was all over the place. Within about 3 seconds, I just started vomiting. Sorry to be gross, but that that continued for roughly 2 to 3 days. The vertigo, the ringing. Then I lost the hearing in my ear for 2 weeks, and gradually came back. I still have tinnitus or tinnitus, which is the constant ringing noise. And my vertigo, yeah, you've got that too. A lot of people do. It's random. But yeah, so I still take tablets for vertigo and stuff. But yeah, you have to adapt, and it's a bit like this situation now in lockdown. With the virus, it's something that's come along. It's totally out of your control. But you got to just, first of all, it's one of these things. It's the whole gratitude thing. You got to just, identify the scenario, be grateful. Have a lot of gratitude for what you have, even though you may be hit by an illness or sickness. You got to identify the positives from it. And I think that's where kind of our ethos, my ethos is. It's a matter of always getting the positive from a really crappy situation, and then just adapting your approach to your business, your life through that. And during that period, 4 years ago, 4.5 years ago, I basically, in finding the online strategies, the online marketing, the online business strategies, I actually realized in implementing some of those things that I was working too much in my business. I was stressed. I wasn't happy. And the consultant that I saw regarding the virus, he actually said it was probably a stress-induced incident that caused the activation of the virus. So when you kind of get a bit of perspective, and having those 8 weeks away from work, gives you massive perspective. You're allowed to look at your business, which you can do right now because most people aren't at work. It gives you time to evaluate your life, evaluate your business, and then again, put a plan in place for how do I adapt? How do I grow and progress forward through this scenario? And at that time, I removed myself from my practice. Up until we closed a few weeks ago for the virus, I was working 2 days a week, whereas before I was working 6 days. But in using those strategies as well, I was working less than half of the time in my business, but I was actually generating more income based around, sort of identifying key income generating tasks, implementing them and being focused and sticking to that. And then the time, outside of my physical business, I then work on the online aspect of that. However, time management, and it's something you are kind of good at with regards to family life. It's identifying time management, something I'm not great at. I have to admit, my wife has to kind of put me in place sometimes because I just start going from one thing to another and not being overly structured. It takes practice, it takes time, but obviously you can advise me on that more so than myself. But yeah, it's adapting, and it's just really identifying the positives, identifying, how's my life going to be better after this, and just working around that and making it happen, basically.
Exactly. Yeah, man, that's huge. Gratitude is huge. I make sure that I am grateful in the morning. I actually spend like maybe 10, 15 minutes just naming all the things I'm grateful for from my list of priorities. And then at night, again, I'm writing out at least three things that I've been grateful for that day. So for today, right? So in an hour or so, I'm done, and I'm going to write that all out. It is huge.
That's fantastic. Like you've got, obviously, it's a discipline. I think that's where I lack. I have the intention of doing that. I've done the courses, I've read the books, get up in the morning, affirmations, gratitude, have a list, and I start doing it, and after maybe a day or two, it stops, and then you make up excuses about, I don't have the time, the kids are crying in the other room, they're running about, I got to get up and make breakfast. And it's a matter, as you say, take the time to do it, and it's something I need to practice more and actually have the discipline to do. So yeah,
it's all about writing out how important something is for you, right? What I always hear is a story about the hungry pack of wolves and the $1 million bag, right? And in front of you, you got a $1 million bag, and in the back of you got a hungry pack of wolves. So you're going to run because the wolves are going to get you, and then you're going to run because you want that money.
Yeah.
Right. And if you write that out for yourself, what that means,
yeah,
you set yourself up for a lot more success. But that said, we'll talk about that later when we're done, because this is already focused on you, right? So I always love to talk about relationships, right? And here you are, and you're working together with your wife, right? Which to me is like, that's amazing. I want to know more about that. How is it like, and how do you structurize it so it stays amazing? Because I can understand as well, there are men sitting right now here like, you're nuts, you spend more time with
totally.
Right? I love it. Like, yeah, exactly. I'm like, man, I'm all for it.
Well, I guess the thing is, it's about kind of structure in your life and how you want it. Obviously, in working with my wife, obviously it's not full time. It's not like 60 hours a week sitting, face to face, which would be lovely, of course. But
it just say that because his wife is listening. No, I'm kidding. I'm playing.
But, yeah. So watch the replay later, perhaps.
Yeah.
But it's tricky because you need to have that time. Like, it can't be all business. This is really, I suppose, we've been working on and off together for probably 3 years. From me going into the online sphere, she at the start was very kind of skeptical about it, and still at times is. It's sort of things you would try and they wouldn't work, and she'd be like, well, you've wasted a lot of time, doing this. Has it really got you anywhere? You don't get any money from it. That was the kind of, at the start, that was the whole kind of conversations we were having. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of people in the online space have this with the spouse, whereas you're focusing on growing an online business, they don't have the right communication channels. And it's the thing, it's the communication. I think it's the one thing, like, we've been together over 18 years now. I think that's the one thing I base our relationship on, is communication. No matter what issues we have, no matter what the situation is, we always communicate openly. And it's the same across your personal relationship, your business relationship. When you close off those channels, and it has happened in recent months with us, where I've kind of started working on something and Sarah hasn't been as involved, or I haven't communicated what I'm trying to do. And then she comes in maybe halfway through it, and I'm trying to explain it, and we have a little bit of a heated debate about what the kind of strategy is. And then her points of view come across, and I realize, well, I've gone into this myself, and what Sarah is now saying is actually very true in many respects, and I have to adapt and adjust things. So from the outset, communication is the key thing. And it's kind of like, it's the work-life balance thing. We don't separate it at home. Our work and our life is kind of joined together in a way, around our kids, obviously. The family, the kids come first in every respect. We always structure our day around, especially now with lockdown, regarding structured time with the kids, because, again, something I struggled with in the past, and many of the people in the group have, I'm sure, it's being present with your family, being present with your kids. And it's hard, like, even at the best of times, it's really difficult. And even now it is, because your mind always wanders, you're always thinking of ideas and things, but it's trying to compartmentalize your time and work together, and have those time periods where Sarah and I know we're sitting down, we're focusing on business. And I'm saying this now, and I'm thinking to myself, that's not what we've been doing over the last 2 or 3 weeks, because it's gone a little bit, all over the place. But you have to be easy on yourself in that respect too. It's a very unusual situation, and when things don't go to plan, when your discipline, maybe doesn't kind of work as expected, it's fine. Don't be so hard on yourself. And that's something at the start I was being very hard on myself, and with our relationship, not spending the time working and focusing on our time together. But you got to have a little bit of flexibility in that as well. So I'd say communication, flexibility, and just focused time at doing the business stuff, and then just enjoying your relationship outside that, and trying not to talk about business related things, although they do pop up from time to time. So
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, that's completely normal, man. But yeah, that's huge, man. You gotta forgive yourself, right? That's
Yeah.
so big. It's actually one of the first things that I teach when I tell my clients to write out who they're gonna forgive. The first week, you just write out your own name every single day. It's so important.
It's hard to do. It is hard to do, but yeah.
It is. It's one of the hardest things to do. Absolutely. Let me ask you this though, because this is not a hard thing that I think you'll probably suggest. You just mentioned like you've been working on a project, right? You're halfway through. Your wife comes in, then all of a sudden you explain it, and she comes up with ideas, and you actually sitting there like, dang it, she's right.
Mm-hmm.
How much does your ego come into play, and you're like,
I think the honest answer, I think I've got used to it.
all right.
A lot of the time she is right because I suppose she's seeing the situation from like a bird's eye view, whereas I'm there, I'm developing a course, I'm writing out a blog or developing a video series or something, and because I'm there so focused in it, she comes in, has a little look. Within 5 minutes, she's like, "Well, that doesn't align with that. That doesn't make sense." So I saw we spend so much time together. We're kind of intuitive in that respect. We're on the same level, the same frequency. I always take her opinion on board, no matter what's the situation. No matter, if I'm thinking I'm 99.9% sure that this is the right thing to do. If there's any hint of doubt or a suggestion that Sarah would bring to the table, I always sort of come back, take it on board, and look at it just totally impartially without any kind of prior judgment or connection, which again is hard to do. It does take time, and I guess it's the time period that you just know each other. You know how we work. We know how we work together. It's the element of trust, and it's not to say we don't have massive disagreements, and there's certain times where things maybe I would say absolutely no. I'm going to stand firm on this, and if it aligns with what we're trying to do, then Sarah then generally does come around, and it has a little bit of leeway there. So it's not to say that she's a real hard ass and this will have to be done. But it's the communication thing. It's the element of trust and trusting our judgments, I guess. Because a lot of times in the past, it's this whole thing of when I was starting, at the start when I was spending a lot of money on courses and being very naive in the online business scene, and you're kind of buying courses left, right, and center based around maybe a kind of testimonial that you see, and you don't really do your research. And there's so much of this, so much spam, and within the marketing scene, there's so much stuff out there that's total noise, and you can be forgiven for making that judgment, from the other person's point of view, and you kind of develop that kind of, I say, like a bullshit meter, if I can curse on this channel. So you develop that kind of meter, that kind of gauge, and that stays with you basically. Not sure where I'm going here.
I hear you on that one. Appreciate that, man. So before we go, share with us one last golden nugget, man, whatever you want to share that you think will be very valuable for a fellow entrepreneur dads.
Yeah, I think it's something that's very, I suppose, close to me. Like I've always been very kind of, I suppose, insecure in kind of, public speaking settings online, even doing a Facebook Live. And a lot of people, like, this is not a new thing. A lot of people struggle with this, but it's one of those things that in a recent book that I read, it's Dean Graziosi, who's talking about that inner voice, the little villain inside your head. And it takes practice, it takes time, but it's just really just getting past it. It's identifying when that voice is telling you you're not good enough. It's something that I struggle with and still do. Like, it's something that I constantly struggle with on a daily basis. But it's being aware of it and just crushing it, just absolutely crushing that voice, going and doing the thing, and just expect yourself to fail, because the two things that held me back, and it's the two things that probably do hold a lot of people back, and it's probably been mentioned many times, but it's that insecurity, that little voice inside your head, and the fear of failure / judgment by others. And it's just getting past that. And once you get past that kind of scenario, it opens you up to so much freedom. And you don't care about going out and making a fool of yourself on a Facebook Live or saying something silly. These things happen. And it's one of those things as well, within a couple of weeks, not even a shorter time period nowadays, because there's so much information being produced online, it's totally forgot about. A video that you've done maybe a day or two ago, it's forgot about, unless it's gone viral or it's been controversial. But it's basically, the inner voice, and just, crushing the fear and just getting past that. And that's basically my my nuggets, my gold nuggets,
I
which
love
can
it.
be said, I'm sure, over and over again. But at the moment, I can't think of anything better because it's something that we would run up against with our kind of clients, people in our groups. They're the key things, and it's something that's exactly the same for me.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's Dean Graziosi's Millionaire Habits.
Yeah, that's the book. Yeah,
Millionaire, something like that. Yeah. I've read that book. Really, really good book. Highly recommend it to everybody watching. Anyway, before we close off, Alan, besides this website, thebrydens.com/evolve, what are other good ways to connect with you? Maybe somebody's listening and is like, wow, I actually have another question for you. What's the best way?
Yeah, you can get me like all the usual channels. Instagram is Alan Bryden on Instagram. You can get me there. Send me a DM. Follow me. The Facebook page is, you probably had the link below this video somewhere as well.
Yep.
It's Alan Bryden. So I'm lucky I've got my name there. But I've actually randomly, I just started I joined TikTok randomly like 4 days ago, just to see how that goes, just to explore the platform, because that's kind of what I'm about. I like to test things and see how they work.
Nice.
So I'm AT Bryden on TikTok, if anybody wants to have a laugh at me. But it's actually quite an interesting platform. But I would go there. Yeah, those main channels. I'm also on LinkedIn as well. Alan Bryden on LinkedIn. So yeah, type Alan Bryden in, and you'll probably find me.
You probably find Alan. Nice. That's fantastic, man. All right, Alan, thank you so much for being on, taking the time and sharing your gold nuggets. Really appreciate it. Everybody else, thanks again. Make sure to hit that heart button. Make sure to share this with your friends if you think there's value that they can get advantage of as well. Other than that, as I said before, last time that we're in this setup, hopefully next week I got everything set up correctly, and we will continue with another live interview and talk to you soon. Stay safe and stay healthy. Take care. Bye-bye.